Everybody, this is Randy from Goteki Labs coming to you live from Santa Clara. Guess what? We're going to hit the ground floor and give you all the inside coverage on the 3D Print Expo. All right, so stay tuned. Keep it locked here on Goteki Labs. I'm here with Brian Rogers and Agent 47 from Forecast 3D. Look at this beautiful car. Let's get a shot of it real quick. 3D printing made this happen, folks. In the automotive industry, this is next. This is what's fresh. This is happening. So I'm gonna let Brian take it away. He knows more about it. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey guys, this is a 1970 Mustang that we've done a bunch of work on. We've stripped as much weight out of it as possible to make it competitive. It is a real race car, and we made a bunch of parts in FDM, SLA, RTV tooling, which is called Procast. It's a process put on by Forecast 3D. Every individual part on the car is made in-house at Forecast 3D. It has a system for functional aerodynamics. We have a multifunctional hood, and what we've got here is air coming in through the radiator. This is just our original radiator grill. It goes through a custom aluminum radiator that's tilted forward. We have an aluminum bucket in there, and the air gets flicked out of the hood scoops, and these hood scoops are 3D printed right off the FDM, and somebody took the time to sand them down by hand, which we offer a finishing service at Forecast. So you can get parts just like this from Forecast 3D. These are right off the FDM machine.
And now a quick look at Agent 47 in action.
Aerodynamics is key.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you before you continue, how do you know how to hold up with the different heat exchanges throughout racing? How did you figure out the formula to actually keep your materials from like melting?
Well, we looked at actually the information on the product itself before we made it, and there's a bunch of different ABS materials. Ultem is one of the favorites for high temperature, ultimate temperature. That will handle surrounding parts, supporting parts for the engine, not parts that are actually on the engine itself. We don't go that far, but we have the airbox itself was made in an Ultem material, and it's suffered through 2 seasons of full racing and has not had any
That's astonishing
issues with it at all.
because I know heat is always a big part of racing.
It sure
especially
is.
with engine cooling management, the actual engine itself being cool, and all the liquids in there having a nice racing temperature. And you're saying it's 3D printed plastic. It's like
Right.
heat plastic. I know most people think it's plastic. How is it not melting? It's not that kind of plastic, folks. It's like he said. It's OLM. You said
Ultem.
Ultem.
ULTEM. Ultem.
Ultim, almost like ultimate.
Ultimate temperature, right?
There
And
it
it also
is.
has a good amount of chemical resistance as well.
Nice. What else can you show us about this car?
So Forecast 3D doesn't just do 3D printing. They also have RTV tooled parts. They can make molds. They can make all kinds of different things from different processes. And in this situation, we have a urethane headlight bucket. The headlight bucket originally on the car is pot metal, and each one weighs 12 pounds. So what you don't want in a race car is weight. So we have a urethane part that we made that weighs 1 pound, and it does all the same work as the pot metal part used to do. So we've saved 20 pounds on the front of the car, high and forward, where you don't want it, just by replacing original parts that we made a mold off of, and then basically it's the same exact part, just in a different material.
So how much grand total does this thing weigh?
It weighs about 3150.
And that's pretty light for an American muscle.
Right, and if you figure like your brand new Mustang weighs about 38 or even 3,900 pounds, depending on the model and the trim, and the Chargers and the Challengers, they're over 4,000 pounds. So this is 3,150 pounds. So what that does is it makes your brakes very effective. It makes your stock engine extremely effective. You know, you're getting power to weight ratio. That's the series that we race in. It's a NASA's American Iron, and you have to have a limited power to weight ratio. The lighter the car, the less horsepower you can make, but the lighter the car, the better it brakes, the better it corners, the better it accelerates, so you get more out of less.
All right, Brian. Well, we appreciate the information you gave us. Tell them where you can find you.
You can find us at forecast3d.com. Or you can find information on YouTube or the web looking for Agent 47 Harbinger if you're looking for information about the car.
A little insight about what their products are. Take it away, Christine.
Thank you. All the Insanatoy products cover everything from housewares to toys, even to robot kits over here, which you see, as well as jewelry and other kinds of accessories.
Now, I was wondering, you said robotics. That caught my ear because, you know, if I was a kid, I probably would be going bonkers with this right now. But robotics, that caught my ear because I'm in STEM. You heard of STEM?
Yes.
And I was wondering, how would this help STEM students actually progress in their field, like
That's a great question.
in terms of prototyping, building, without throwing up production costs?
Right. Well, there are parts that certain robot kits, you know, there are standard robot kits that are out there, but there are also different ways of creating using robotics to expand your creativity, to learn physics. I mean, some of the programs that Mark uses are like, they kind of blow my mind because they're physics-based in order to figure out how the toys will actually work.
Now, with your guys' plastic and your guys' designs, how many points of articulation can you actually produce on one model?
Oh, many points. Like basically anything that you see in kinds of action figures that are out there, probably more because we're not limited by tooling.
So let me ask you this, because I have a couple of figures. I don't play with them; they're really collectibles, but they're from Figma. I don't know if you ever heard of Figma. Figma Designs. They have action figures that are very postable.
Okay.
Now, since you can actually print the actual pieces that you want that are different juxtapositions and whatnot, could you say that would be a better model than actually just giving a kid an action figure? They can actually build it themselves and create what points of articulation they want.
Exactly, and that's, again, where physics comes back into play. It's like you can really figure out those points of articulation and see exactly how you want to pose them.
Now, a quick word from President of Insanatoy, Mark Tergesser.
I was just speaking with Christine about articulation, how most toys come out fixed and they only have certain movements, maybe 16 to 32 points of articulation. However, the question was, is it better for a kid to actually create his own toy? That way he can pick his own points of movement and hair and style? Or should you start off someone with a fixed toy where it's literally limited, but it may be their favorite toy?
With kids, I think you have to do a little bit of both because there's different types of kids. So me as a kid, I would have built my own toy. I would not have wanted something handmade or already assembled. Like, I never made the thing on the Lego box.
Oh, okay.
And there's other kids who were like, I'm going to make exactly the thing on the Lego box and I'm never going to change it. So some people are designers and some aren't. Now, everybody can be a designer, but not everybody chooses to be. I mean, I choose to not run a marathon.
Right.
Some people love to run marathons. I don't do that. So kids are the same way. So you get the same sort of thing where you have some people who are wanting to do it and some don't. So I think there's apps that will help more people be readily able to do this themselves at home. But there's also going to be a certain number of people like, no, just give it to me. Because honestly, sometimes the kid will do it and he just won't make it as cool as like the professional who's been making robots for Transformers for a bunch of years.
Right, they may feel intimidated or whatnot.
Well, you don't want them. You want every kid who wants to do this to pick it up and start working on it. But some kids don't want to. They may just want the finished thing. They may be happy with that. Some kids want the process, some don't. Again, it's just different kids.
Goteki Labs here once again with the premier artist, Lawrence Cartel. Now, Lawrence, you stopped by our booth.
Yes.
Why was that? Why'd you choose us?
Well, because you look like the love doctor.
I look like the love doctor. I'll take it.
And you know, there needs to be more love in this world. So you have a really good face and a good heart, it looked like. And you know, in your lab coat, you looked like you were, you know, giving rather than receiving.
A lot of people didn't even know about this expo. It's kind of like a hidden gem, if you will.
Yes. I'm the visionary behind this show, actually. And we were running a contest where we were actually giving out a file of mine to people who wanted to print it to see how different every single person prints.
Okay.
So there's a difference in material. There's a difference in material. There's a difference in shape, form, and every machine does a different thing. So
Naturally.
it's not like it's all printing the same thing. I was once the keynote speaker at the printing conference in Tucson, Arizona, and the first thing I said in front of 500 people was printing was not an exact science, and they started to throw tomatoes at me. And, well, you know, they want to make sure that everything's calibrated, everything's going to come out. If you see yellow in a Shell logo, it's going to print exactly as it seems because of a Pantone color.
Yeah, they got it all patented and whatnot.
Yeah, but the idea also is that regardless of the area you're in, the weather conditions, all sorts of things make a difference in the printing environment. So I felt the same way now with 3D printing, that there is no exact science to something. Even though it's a file and everything is numerical, everybody's going to print a file differently. So that's why I started this thing at this conference. So it's the first time. So we're pioneering here.
Oh yeah, we are literally on the ground floor of what the next industrial revolution will be.
Yes.
Just like when Henry Ford had, Henry Ford started his industrial line.
Yeah.
This is the next iteration, but it's with plastics.
Yeah.
Well, and some
metals.
in some metals.
Now.
Yeah, I know NASA's building some things that go to space,
Right.
Especially with the Mars missions coming up.
Absolutely.
They are all over the 3D print for tools and whatever else they need up in space. But we're here on Earth right now.
Yes, we
So
are.
let's talk about earthly things.
I'm glad we're not in hell. Let's say that.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah. So
heard
we're
it's hot
sort of,
there.
we're sort of, yes, very hot. Although I have a very hot piece of 3D art here. So, well, I need to turn it in order for you to see it. I also need a little light behind it.
Need a little light? We got some light.
We're going to, may just require a little light from, well, excuse me. Do you want to?
A good
hold
lab coat
this?
comes prepared, right?
You're not kidding. So watch this. Ready?
I'm watching.
I'm going to hold it up for you.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you might need to come around on this angle, bro.
Can you see?
It's
Do you need to see it closer?
But who is it supposed to be though?
Well, it's not necessarily the who, it's more about the what. So it is a face.
Yes.
And this face was created in 1992. Originally, it's a 900K file that has been modified in 2014. And it is the...
Is that Gaia? It's supposed to like
No, it's not. It's not. I'll move it a little further forward for you.
I mean, it's breathtaking to see
It's
that the
called-
formations actually even came about to do that. And again, I'm gonna let you explain. I'm a little awestruck at what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, that's the
Because
idea.
That's the
This
art.
has never been done before. You'll be able to print a chair. You'll be able to print
Prosthesis.
anything.
That's what I was thinking more for like people with like missing limbs. Like I've seen what 3D printing can do for them. They don't have to be handicapped anymore.
No one has to be handicapped. You know, they'll be printing with our basic material. You'll be able to print a heart. I mean, it's really amazing. Aviation, automotive, fashion, print dresses, shoes.
Exactly.
I mean, the world is going to change in that way. There's going to be new designers and new things. But this is really like the daguerreotype of its time. Affordable really is the vision. and you have to have it. So I'm actually this year, I'm the official artist of the Grammy Awards.
Nice.
I
Congratulations.
created. You didn't know that? You don't know.
I feel like I've been under a rock. I thought I knew some things, but I guess I didn't.
Well, you know, we all. Here's the piece. It was the invitation, the announcement, the VIP tickets, the poster, the program guide. I'm sure you've heard of people like Jay-Z and Beyonce.
yes.
Well, they walked behind me when I was on the red carpet. I'm being funny, but almost. So this piece actually physically wrapped a 5.5-foot Grammy statue with my artwork printed on vinyl, and it was wrapped on the actual physical statue. And the original, the finished product, is at the Recording Academy in Santa Monica. If anyone wants to visit it, that's
I'm
where
only
it is.
at like an hour away from Santa Monica.
Well, you need to go see it.
Oh, I will.
And you'll be very, very surprised by it. And like, they never thought of doing something like that before. And so that's kind of like what I try to bring to the world, is new ideas and new concepts, and put them into light. My goal for this thing, by the way, is that it should be printed enormous. And that's where hopefully you'll be seeing this again in a large size, and you'll know that you saw it here.
And I got to say, I'm humble. I thank you for even bringing this by. I
My pleasure.
wasn't even expecting this. We just came here today. You know, we was going to check out the expo, and not only did we get an art history lesson,
Yes.
but I'm sitting right in front of a legendary artist right now, and it feels like everything that I did know about art's been dwarfed, and it's like I got to go back and do some more homework.
Well, you know, I'm in art history books. I'm either the last page of art history, or I'm the first page, because it's a new world. So,
Well, if it wasn't for trendsetters like you, it wouldn't even be, it wouldn't even be plausible to even come to the next level. It had
Yeah.
to take someone to make that buffer to get to the next level.
that's correct. And I will tell you, though, that it was hard fought, and that there were many arrows in my back as a pioneer. Many rejections, millions.
Oh, yeah.
So because people didn't know what it was, they couldn't get it, and those who had a little bit of vision said yes.
Yeah, you got to admit, most people, when they don't understand certain things, and I guess I can kind of attest this, like their worldview is very myopic.
Yes.
And it's like, until you actually can see it for what it actually is, and then see what that person is actually envisioning and listening, that's another key part, listening. Then your world gets opened up to a whole nother avenue. Like just mine right now, it's like I was literally only here for the mechanical. That I was blown away by the car.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, that's like a showstopper, but this is the art that comes from all that. And I'm going to quote something that I heard from, I think it was either Bill Nye or Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was like, it's the art actually helped the science, because it was the art that envisioned that thought from the mind into a scientific avenue that you can take now. So without art, you wouldn't even have the sciences.
Much.
That concludes this interview. It'll be up. I'm still a little stunned right now, folks. Thanks again to Lawrence Gartell and your publishing team, and have a good show.
I appreciate that. Let me just say my website.
Oh, sure.
Website is gartellart.com. That's GARTEL art.com. You'll see more. Okay?
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Lawrence.
you, Randy. Appreciate it.
And we'll give you the scanner. And now if you just tap the button on the back there, just once, and then your standoff distance, see how it's red? Pull it out a little bit until it turns green, and you're about that far away. So you've got a scale here. You've also got a light here that you can look at. So as long as you keep it about that far away, and then just move around the part, or you can turn the part, move around you. I have
Goteki Labs here with Joseph Chu with Raise 3D, Raise the Standard. Now he's the only 3D print I've seen in the whole expo that actually makes a full-size bust. Check this out. For all you artists out there that use ZBrush, Mono, you want to see your creation come to life, I'll be aiming for this. We're here live with Eric with his Monad Studios. Did I say that right?
Monad Studio, correct.
Monad Studios. He took plastic and music to a whole new level. Now check this out. If you pan over here, you'll see he has some string instruments. He does other instruments, I've just been told, but he decided to showcase the string violins, the 2-string piezoelectric right here, if you can zoom in on that. But I'm going to let him speak more about it rather than me just jibber jabber. Eric, you got the floor.
Hi. Well, I want to introduce you to the music instruments that we have designed and made with the 3D printers. This is a piezoelectric violin. This is a travel bass guitar, a small size bass guitar. This is a mono violoncello. It's a cello, but these instruments have 1 string or 2 strings because they were designed for a musician that plays in that way. But we are also developing now 4-string bass guitars, 6-string guitars, and whatnot. But what is interesting to us is to be able to test through 3D printing the capacity to make these things that adapt to the body and that they create sound. So in a way, we create art because they're very artistic sculptural forms. But then the musicians take it to another form of art. So that's kind of why my interface, you know.
And I completely agree with that. I was just getting ready to say, how does the acoustics actually get affected by being plastic? Since, you know, most acoustic strings are hollowed out by wood.
Yeah.
So how does the sound reverberate through the instrument?
That is
itself?
actually a good question because what gives them a different kind of quality as instruments is that even though they look as solid body instruments, that this would be monolithic, it is in fact made of has this kind of little chambers because it creates a support structure inside which makes them more hollow than anything else. It's like, yeah, it's like it has many resonant little chambers which give them a special kind of quality of sound and makes them different, makes musicians more eager to try them. You know?
Can you demonstrate for us?
I don't play, unfortunately.
Okay.
We'll have my partner is coming tomorrow. He'll play here all day with an amp and everything.
Okay, well, we'll definitely be here tomorrow, so we'll get a live show. You hear that?
Have that tomorrow for sure.
All
He'll be
right.
playing on and on and on.
That's, like I said, I have some friends that are very interested in violins, and I'm going to pass on the information. For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Eric.
Thank you, man.
Enjoy the show.